Alrighty, how are y'all today? My name's Matthew, and today I'll be talking about the policy of charter schools in South Carolina. So basically, I'm just gonna start off with my background, kind of. I went to a public school in South Carolina named Philip Simmons, down the road in Charleston, South Carolina, not too far from Columbia. And I experienced my first charter school in actually sports. All my friends went to this charter school next in Charleston, South Carolina called Oceanside Collegiate. They were basically a charter school just right down the road from us. A lot of my friends went there instead of going to our local high school that we all planned on going. They were recruited there from different types of sports, and I'll just be talking about how that like kind of changed me in the policy that I talk about and how like I don't think that it should be in place, charter schools. I think the funding should go to private and public schools instead of just another element of charter schools. So basically, with a charter school, it comes in three main things: your location, your family, and your environment around you. Basically, to piggyback off of that, location, charter schools are zoned for about 100 miles. So anywhere between Columbia and Charleston, South Carolina, you can be, in a charter school. And that I don't think that's right because I think zoning for schools should be just in one specific place. I don't think they should be, all across the whole state of South Carolina. Um, that will come in later. The environment, these charter schools are usually, less than 10 classrooms in the whole school. They go in between. There's usually sessions from 9 to 12. There's sessions from 1 to 3. Like school's only about 2 to 3 hours long. That's just not the high school experience that I witnessed. And I'm sure some people in here have witnessed that too. And then the last one is family. A lot of my family went to public schools, and I think it shaped the person they are today. And I think if we just like instead of like our private schools are a different thing, obviously, like a lot of families go to private schools throughout the years and throughout generations. But I think that families going to these charter schools break up from each other and they just kind of distance each other from it. And basically, one of my sources that I cited was the South Carolina Charter Act School of 1996. The legislation defines a charter school a public, non-religious, non-home based, nonprofit corporation, forming operations by sponsorships of public school districts, the South Carolina Public School District, or public independent institution of higher.org. Basically, that's just saying that different types of public schools are non-religious, like unlike private schools where you can go there for your Catholic or religious beliefs. They're nonprofit corporations, so usually that they don't break even. They have big sponsors and donors and stuff like that are lending them this money or giving them this money so that they can do whatever they need to do. Usually it would be put into the sport, like their sport academics, not really their like school in general. Another thing I want to cite is the school that I was talking about earlier, the Oceanside Collegiate Academy. That is about a 500-person school. My school was about 1,000 people, and they basically talk about on their website. This is what their head coach said after they won one of the championships last year. We recruit from all over the state to make this happen. This is something that I would never imagine happening again for the next couple of years. And then it also goes to say after that he talks about, this is on their website too, about oceanside.org. It talks about grit, how if you want to come to the school, you have to have grit. And basically, it's under the athletic code that that's their motto they go by is grit. If you have grit, you can be at the school. And I just don't think that's right. I think those like that kind of charter school should be opened up to every single kind of student that wants to participate there, not just because these students want to go there to win state championships. They want to receive like minimal education by going to school every 2 hours a day and whatnot. I just don't think that's right in the long run. I don't think that's healthy. That's just my opinion on that. And also another one I pulled from is the charter school that's right up the road in Columbia. It's called Gray Collegiate Academy. And on their website and their information all about them, it talks about how they want to make sure that this is not like a high school. This is not like a traditional high school. This is not like a traditional public school. That it's not a traditional private school. They quote, and I quote, "It's not college prep, it's college." So they're referring that they're making and preparing people for college that's right down the road where they maybe can travel, 10 miles to the University of South Carolina. And I believe that going to school every day for 2 hours is not college. I believe that like that's just not in the ordinary college routine. I would say I don't think any of us go to school for just 2 hours a day. At least we're doing schoolwork for at least more than 2 hours a day, I would hope. But basically this was this what I'm about to refer to is an institute that was the first charter school in the United States, but specifically in South Carolina. And it quotes, as Robin Lake has written, the success of charter schools movement will depend on whether it is able to success and abandon failures. To remain success and eliminate failure, we need to understand what explains these variations. So basically, I think that quote is significant to my argument because it's talks about how these are either going to succeed or they're going to be abandoned and they're going to be failures. There's no in between. And I believe that I don't think kids should be abandoned on. I don't think kids should be, just forgotten about just because of their, they're not good at sports or whatever. But I think that goes hand in hand with my argument. And that was the first at Robin Lake was the first charter school, and it failed because their program was not getting enough money and funded because it's not state funded. It's a nonprofit, so they're not having, their player coaches and stuff like that, giving them money where they need to, succeed in the program under a charter school. This has mainly, I've been talking about a lot about sports, but state education too. 38% of people that go to charter schools don't get into their number one school. And I think that sticks with me a lot with just because, I have a lot of friends that went to charter schools, and I believe they didn't go, not all of them went to college because they weren't prepared for it. They weren't physically and mentally prepared for it. It's simple and hundreds of reasons why there are three big ones though. I believe charter schools accept applicants from all prospective teachers certifications without preference, but we would consider applicants with SE state certifications. That was from charterschools.org. So that's basically saying that not all charter schools have the ability to like hire these high-end teachers for their classes. So they are taking basically very minimum low teaching degrees to get these teachers in here so they can, just pass through these students for 2 hours a day and just not really teach them core values that are going to help them in college. And I know I've talked about sport, but Oceanside, the school that was near me in Charleston, it recruited all over. So it recruited kids from North Carolina, it recruited kids from down by Savannah. I knew countless of families that moved in just to go, get their son they say the best education, but usually they're just coming there to win, like get on like high priorities for like state championships and stuff like that, and get coaches to like recognize them throughout like their time. Location, the funding and tax dollars are not going to these schools, so they're self-profited. There's 7 states right now that do not have charter schools: Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, Vermont, and Virginia. And this is just basically because their education laws, they don't believe in them. Charter schools are born at state levels, and the representatives have not wanted to do that over the years. And basically, this is my argument. I think this would save a lot of money with us. I think it would save a lot of money at our state level by, eliminating some of these charter schools. And it would, honestly, all this money could go right to, these public and private schools that don't have, the gyms, the lockers, the stuff that they need for necessities. But basically, that's my argument. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question. So like what is like a charter school's mission, or like what do like they want to accomplish?
So that's a good question. So basically every charter school operates under their own like kind of like, I guess you could say, circumstance or like operation. And basically their mission is to, honestly, it sounds very bad, but produce, D1 athletes. I know that the school near me, the Oceanside Collegiate Academy, had, I think it was 92% of people go to some school to play some form of sport in college. And they're not talking about enough on the academic level. And that's what like frightens me about our future, to be honest with you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I don't know if it's like different for like public schools or in like charter schools, but like what kind of academic programs do like charter schools offer?
So that's a great question. Some charter schools offer different types of things, but it's depending on different types of, what the school is trying to entail. Basically, I know most charter schools are obviously have your STEM programs, just your usual, science, stuff like that. And then sometimes they very like often they'll have language programs where basically you're just, that's your Spanish and French. They don't usually have anything more than that. But like I said in the beginning of my argument, different types of charter schools are different. And I know that the charter school next to me did not have Spanish or French. So it just had, it only offered that online, and that was not a requirement for them, basically.
So I have a question. So charter schools, they have waiting lists, right?
Yes, they do.
Does every charter school have a waiting list?
So that's a great question too. Not every school, I know some public schools and private schools, or mainly private schools, only have they do have waiting lists because of just all the people that are funded flowing in there. But not every charter school has a waiting list. This is also due to every charter being different, but they have what we call lotteries. So basically, if you put, it's just like the lottery in general. If you put a ping pong ball in a soup bowl and you just pick which one, that's how you can get in there. But over the years, they have had times where they're just like kind of rigging them. They're getting like all the athletes that they want because everyone wants to go to these charter schools. So basically, it's very rigged, and it's been traditionally rigged for these like high prominent, D1 athletes to get into these bigger schools so they can, move on into their college careers.
My question is, what are parents' roles when it comes to charter schools?
So yes, so parents play actually a vital role. I would say they play the biggest role in charter schools. I know that the Oceanside Collegiate Academy, the one in Charleston, South Carolina, I was talking about earlier, they had an anonymous donor of $1 million 2 years ago. So basically, they are so self-funded that they rely on their donors and their representatives, honestly, to just donate them money that they can, stand up and get new uniforms, get new equipment, get whatever they need to they obviously put probably a small percentage of that into their school and into their educational purposes. But I would say 95% of that is going to, their football field, their baseball fields, or just their sport programs that are going to, allow them to, succeed in the sport fields.
What kind of extra activities do the charter schools offer?
So yes, we went over the STEM programs, but they do offer, this is a benefit of going to different types of charter schools, but they do offer different types of extracurricular activities like clubs. I know they had many, their badminton club won 2 years ago, Oceanside. And although that is really cool that badminton, yes, they won and they have badminton, that's cool. But I think that going to a public school and stuff like that, you can start these different types of clubs and, allow the progressive movement of going up into the ranks and going to the state championship for badminton or something like that. That would be something you could do at a public school rather than, just going to a charter school for a badminton club.
And then I had a question. So in these charter schools, how large are the classes?
The classes are, so for example, the Gray Collegiate Academy, I know that their classes are 15 people or less. So they have a math 8 class, and I know it's 15 people. But for most of these classes, because there's so many different charter schools, I think that there's 96 of them in South Carolina. And these charter schools, they basically pull from everywhere, obviously, but they have about 15 people in each class or less. They're no usually more than 20 though.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the thing is cracking out right now. But anyways, I have a question. What amenities do these schools offer rather than public or private?
So they offer, since large amounts of their money and funding are going to their different types of sport fields, they offer supposedly the highest quality of fields: baseball, football, soccer, volleyball, whatever you want to name. But they also offer different types of counseling, which public school not, or private school not rather suggest. Any more questions? All righty. Thank you so much.